everyone, it's Jennifer Hoffman of EnlighteningLife.com, and in this video I want to talk to you about surrender, which is a big concept for the month of May. And it is a big concept because we have many new potentials arriving and we need to have space in our lives for them. Now, surrender is not a process of giving up. When we surrender, we don't give up. When we surrender, we stop resisting the change, or we stop fighting it. And if you watch cartoons when you were a kid, you know that they have little cartoons where, you know, there's soldiers fighting and then somebody raises a white flag and they stop fighting. And that's what surrender is. So we stop resisting change when we surrender. And you can learn more about that in my surrender course, which I'll talk to you about at the end of this little video. So what does that mean in your life? Okay, so here, yes, we have props. So here you have like your little life and you have your little things in your life. So maybe you have your job and you have a relationship and maybe your life and wherever you live or what's going on in your life. And you know, for a long time, this is really happy for you. You're comfortable here. You know what this life is. And you may want something else and kind of look towards it occasionally, but you quickly come back to your comfort zone, what's familiar. Now, your comfort zone is not where you're comfortable. Your comfort zone is what's familiar. So you may be somewhat comfortable here, but what you find over time is you quickly start outgrowing your comfort zone. So all of a sudden it doesn't look very happy. Maybe you realize you don't really like your job and your relationship's not that great. And yeah, you kind of like your life, but you really want to live at the beach, which is what I did. I moved to the beach. So along comes a new potential, and you look at the potential, you look at your life, and this new potential starts making this life look really uncomfortable. And you decide, okay, I want something different. So you say to the potential, okay, come in, but put yourself in my comfort zone. Put yourself in here. Well, this doesn't fit, and it doesn't fit in your life either. But you know that changing is going to mean doing something to this. So you say to the universe, okay, make any changes, but don't change any of this. Because keep this and then change my life, but keep my life intact, which, you know, is a dichotomy. You can't do that. So something has to go. So what happens is as the change starts approaching you, you hang on more tightly to this. You're like, no, don't change anything in my life. Just make sure that this and this somehow integrate, make it all fit. So you try and jam the change into your life. So it's kind of half in and half out, and nobody's happy. So you know that eventually you're going to have to get rid of some of these things in order to allow new transformation, change, new potentials, new energies to come into your life. So there's a tendency here then to say, okay, I give up. But it's not about giving up, it's about allowing. So surrender is an act of allowing and receiving. You allow the change to happen, and then you receive the new things that are coming into your life. Without both of those, the allowing and the receiving, you're going to resist and not surrender. You're going to fight to keep this because this is what you know. You don't know anything about this guy. You don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to be happy? Is it going to be everything I wanted? You know, that's where faith comes in. But that's another topic for another video. What you really need to know is that if you want this, there is an aspect of you, usually it's very unconscious and unknowable to you at this point in time because you're too scared trying to hang on to this life. But there's an aspect of you that really wants this change. Now, we change in spirit and energetically long before we actually allow that change to trickle down to our 3D human self. So by the time you really want this change, on an energetic level and a spiritual level, you've already integrated that energy. It just needs to kind of be put in place and put into action in your life now. So what happens with this is you go, I'm hanging on to this, but I want this, it won't fit. Okay, I'll give up. Rather than, all right, I will allow the change to happen. I'm going to allow this change to come into my life and for these things to start moving around and maybe going away by themselves. That makes the change graceful. Surrender allows you to create change in a graceful way rather than having the other way, which is you're fighting the change, you're resisting, you're not surrendering, and all of a sudden you lose your job. Your relationship disappears, or something happens, and I've seen this with clients, like say you live in a house and you know you should move, but you really don't want to, and then your landlord calls you and says, hey, by the way, I've sold the house, you've got 30 days to get out. Oops, now you've got to change. So this is how the universe kind of conspires with us to allow change to happen, especially when we're resisting. So what tends to happen is, you can't change one aspect of your life without changing everything. So what really happens is when you really surrender, when you allow yourself to receive the transformation, to receive the change, what happens is this part of your life goes away. Another pop. And you find yourself in a brand new life with your new change, your new potential, and now you're really in your discomfort zone. Because when you are what's called your comfort zone, you actually are in a part of your life where everything is familiar. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going on because it's the same thing that happened yesterday. Your life is very predictable. When you move into transformation, especially if it's really big, like some of the transformations that we've gone through, you're in your discomfort zone. Now you are really in a place that is unfamiliar, uncomfortable, unknown, and you don't know what to do. So you think, oh, I should have kept my old life. I should not have made the change. But not making the change is usually not an option. And we think it is, but it really isn't. Not transforming is not an option. What you need to do is go into that state of allowing and receiving to allow the change to become more graceful. And we talk about that in the Surrender course. Because what do you want in your life? You want more love, more peace, more joy, more freedom, more flow. And you get that by surrendering to love, surrendering to timing, to flow, to freedom, to peace, to joy. And you do that by allowing and receiving. Surrender is an act of allowing and receiving. So as you are focusing on, okay, how am I going to do this? The flow will happen by itself as long as you stay in that act of surrender, again, which is about allowing and receiving. So say you find yourself very reluctantly, and maybe stuff this happens, like I said, you lose your job, you lose your relationship, you lose your house, and all of a sudden you're standing literally in the middle of nowhere in a brand new life going, God, how did this happen to me? And then you allow yourself to receive. So what is it that you want to receive? You want community, you want joy, you want new love, you want a new job, you want more fulfillment, more prosperity. All of those things happen when you surrender to them, when you stop resisting and you stop fighting the transformation. The transformation's happened. Now we need to learn to make the best of it. And that's where we get stuck because we think, oh, I should never have done this. We start judging and criticizing ourselves, forgetting that the transformation happened because it just happened. We really, on a spiritual level, on an energetic level, really, really wanted it. So the next thing for us then is to surrender to the transformation. Allow and receive those things you wanted. And that's what we talk about in the Surrender course. How to do that. How to surrender. How to allow that process to occur by setting the intention, envisioning the outcome, and then not resisting the change that has to happen in order for that outcome to happen. For example, say you really want a loving relationship and you have been for years in a relationship that's unloving, unfulfilling, unhappy, and you secretly just want a change. You want a loving relationship, but you're really afraid of letting go of the relationship you have. So what happens? Your partner leaves you. They find somebody else. They cheat on you. They disappear. They walk in one day and say, you know what? I want a divorce. Now you've got the vehicle for your transformation and it's right there in front of you because you were secretly wanting that change. You were afraid to let go of what you had. So it let go of itself. Because generally the thing that you want to let go of wants to let go of you just as badly. So now you find yourself in unfamiliar territory. What do? First thing you do is surrender. And that doesn't mean you give up. It means you start focusing all your energy and all your intention on what you want to receive, and then you allow it to come to you. Now, when you do that, you can't also be angry and upset and resentful and regretful and look back on the past and say, well, if they hadn't done that, then I wouldn't be here. Because that really isn't true. They did what they did, and partly in response to what you secretly really wanted. So when you surrender, you allow yourself to receive changes. You put yourself in that receiving mode so the changes happen to you like they do in a revolving door. So the cool thing about revolving doors is the people coming into the building are actually in the same door as the people leaving the building. When you surrender, you allow that that new energy to come in and the old energy to come out in a big flow. So it's like a revolving door and there's no resistance. So stop resisting, start creating. Check out the surrender course, enlighteninglife.com/surrender. Let me know if you have any questions. This is Jennifer Hoffman, and thanks so much for watching the video. And let's get into surrender mode so we can start allowing and receiving all the wonderful things that we want in our lives. See you on the next video.